All right, you may notice that this is long division, and you may notice there's only one example because it's going to take a long time. Feel me? All right, anyway, this is just like long division that you learn in elementary school. However, we're dealing with letters instead of just numbers. Now, if we're dividing x cubed minus 7x squared plus 14 by x minus 5, do you remember how we would take this x minus 5, we'd put it out in front of this really long division symbol? It's not a radical, right? We don't have the little space here. This is showing that we are dividing. And so what is underneath the house? Well, we have this x to the third minus this 7x squared. Notice how we don't have an x to the first power. Well, we need a placeholder. We need x to the third and x squared and x to the first. So what we're going to do is we're going to fill in a placeholder as plus 0x to the first and then plus 14. We have to have that placeholder. It'd be kind of like, never mind, that's not a good example. Go Tigers. Scratch that. Anyway, so we need a placeholder. If I start with x to the third, I need an x squared, I need an x, and I need a constant. Now, how do you go about this process? Oh, it's beautiful, it's glorious, I love it. I can't wait to show you, to share this with you, to give you some of my joy today. So, all we have to do is look at our first term, this x value. All I have to do is figure out, okay, x times what will get me to x to the third power? Well, x times x squared will equal x to the third. Once I figure that out, I'm going to take this x squared then, that I just found in my noggin, and I'm going to distribute that to each term that I'm dividing by. So x squared times x is x to the third. These should always match. That's why we picked it. But what is x squared times a negative 5? Well, that's a negative 5x squared. Now, in elementary school, when you learn about this, technically what you guys did was subtract, right? You subtract these. Well, x to the third minus an x to the third, that's gone. You gone. But be careful. What is a negative 7 minus a negative? Minus a negative means plus. So what's a negative 7 plus 5? So if I'm subtracting these, that would give me a negative 2x squared. Then I'm going to bring this glorious value down, this placeholder of plus 0x. Ah, how exciting. Now, we have to start the process over. I'm looking at my first term, my x, and I'm figuring out x times what will get me a negative 2x squared. Well, x times a negative 2x will get me a negative 2x squared. So I'm going to say minus 2x. Because this negative 2x times x is negative 2x squared. And then I have to distribute to the second term. Negative 2x times a negative 5 is a positive 10x. But remember, we're subtracting, so really, I'm taking this and I'm subtracting. Oh, how amazing. Negative 2 minus a negative is plus. Negative 2 plus 2, these cancel out. That should happen every single time if you do this right. Then 0 minus 10. Well, that's a negative 10, so I get this negative 10x. And then I bring this plus 14 down. Ah, this will be the last step. How exciting. So now I start the process over. X times what will give me a negative 10x? Well, x times a negative 10. So negative 10. And then I need to distribute that. So negative 10 times x is negative 10x. But negative 10 times a negative 5 is a positive 50. But again, don't go too fast because you're almost done. You need to subtract these, right? So negative 10 minus a negative 10, cancel those out. 14 minus 50 is a negative 36. That is my remainder. Back in elementary school, you might have in the beginning said, you know, r for remainder, like r minus 36, right? You might have said, oh, this is just going to be this minus 36. That's my remainder. Then, as you learned this better, you started adding decimals in there, and you started figuring out, and you kept going to figure out what the decimal was. Well, then, in our case, we have this remainder of this negative 36, this minus 36. But what were we dividing it by? We were dividing it by this x minus 5. So I have to say over what I was dividing it by, which was x minus 5. Now, it's very nice if you get a remainder of 0, because then you can just stop here. Our remainder was negative 36, so I have to say minus this 36. If it was positive, I'd say plus 36. Over whatever I was dividing by. So over this x minus 5. Now, we will practice this more in class, but this is our solution. So, again, I mean, the next time you go to Mod Pizza, and they're like, I have a 50% off coupon for you. If you can divide these two polynomials, you will get half off your pizza, guaranteed. And you are welcome.